teach a parable. Now actually it says he tells the people this parable. He's kind of, at this point, giving up a little bit on the scribes and the chief priests and the elders. They're still there. But he, instead of speaking to them, he teaches the people. And he teaches the people, as he often does, using a parable. Remember, a parable is a teaching that divides. It's a teaching that is subject to the Spirit's application. And so Jesus gives one of his parables. And it's a parable which shows a number of things. Let's just look at verse 9. This is Luke 20, verse 9. Jesus began to tell the people this parable. A man planted a vineyard and let it out to tenants and went into another country for a long while. When the time came, he sent a servant to the tenants so that they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent another servant, but they also beat and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. And he yet sent a third. This one they also wounded and cast out. Verse 13. Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him." But when the tenants saw him, this is verse 14, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Let us kill him so that the inheritance may be ours." And they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. Now, Jesus teaches here in Luke 20, verses 9 to 14 and 15, a vivid parable that is meant to discuss this question of authority. See, there's a man who owned a vineyard. There's no doubt that the owner of a vineyard has authority over the vineyard. And the owner of the vineyard, entrusts the vineyard to some servants. And the servants, the tenants, they do not have true authority. They have derived authority. They have someone who is over them, the owner of the vineyard. But as the owner sends to the tenants to claim what is due to him, he sends one servant, they reject him. He sends a second servant, they reject him. A third and a fourth servant, each one is rejected. They treat the servants shamefully, they beat them, they do nothing to obey the rightful claims of the owner of the vineyard. Now, this is a description in parable form of what Israel has been like and what the world basically has been like. It is owned by another. It's owned by God. It's His. He has absolute authority over it. Let's be clear on that. The owner of the vineyard is God Himself. He's the one who owns everything. He owned Israel. And so God sends His servants. Who are His servants? His servants are the prophets. Now, this is not an allegory, but that's the clear implication. God has sent servants. We would say messengers who have come again and again and again to make the claims of the owner, God, known to the people. And what happens? They have rebelled again and again and again against the rightful authority of the owner. Now, I would call that apparent success. I mean, there are 4 different sendings described here, and of those 4, 3 have ended in the servant of the owner being cast out, abused, mistreated, and cast out, unable to assert the authority of the owner of the vineyard. Now, if that isn't a description of the history of Israel, which was the unique covenant community in relationship with God, Israel that had this special relationship with the owner of the vineyard, God had sent His servants, the prophets, again and again, and they had been rejected. And of course, that's true today as well. There is a sense in which there's apparent victory for those who disallow the authority of Christ. I mean, if you look around the world, you certainly get the clear impression, certainly in the West at least, that the authority of God is under attack. That there is a new boss in town, and it's us. And this secular mindset would appear to be prevailing, wouldn't it? I mean, no one would argue that the church is ascending in influence today, certainly not in the West. There's the sense of apparent success for those who claim not to be under the authority of the owner of the vineyard. That was true in Jesus' day, the religious establishment, all the power brokers, everyone of influence in the society, those people of wealth and prestige. Most of them, by far the overwhelming majority of them, were not interested in actually acknowledging the authority of the owner of the vineyard. So in the parable, the vineyard owner sends his beloved son. Now that word beloved son, that should set bells off for us, making it very plain that here Jesus is talking about himself. The owner of the vineyard sends his own beloved son to make his rightful claims. And what happens? They don't just mistreat him, they don't just beat him, they don't just cast him out, but they kill him. So angry are they. So caught up in greed and the desire to overthrow all authority over them, they want to kill the heir. If they can kill the heir, then they can truly, they believe, overthrow the place of God in their lives. And that's true today as well. But what happens? They kill the beloved son, and that's the way Luke's gospel is going to go in Luke chapter 23. We're going to see that indeed God's beloved son was killed. And there is every sense in which there is apparent success for the forces who rebel against God. But Jesus in verse 16, answers his question in verse 15. What will the owner of the vineyard do to these rebels? Verse 16, he will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. When they heard this, they said, surely not. But he looked directly at them and said, what then is that? This that is written, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. God will deal with sinful rebelliousness. He is patient. He allows people to get away with things, and we think that's a sign that he doesn't care. But let me assure you, as Jesus here tells us, God will deal once and for all with rebelliousness. God will deal with it. He will bring about justice. He will bring about a fair end to the dispute. He definitely will. And Jesus tells us that here in verse 16. He will come and he will deal with it. He will bring judgment on the rebels. Now the world doesn't like to hear that. You mention that to someone, however sensitively, however humbly and carefully, and if they want to live in rebellion, they will get very angry with you. They'll write you off as a religious nut because they don't really have any interest in knowing about the judgment of God or the fact that he is the owner of everything and he really does have rightful authority. But in the end, Jesus says, the rebellion will fail. God will deal with it all in righteousness and justice. And he will destroy those, says Jesus, who are rebelled against him. He will destroy them. Now that's a very sobering word. Jesus tells us here, the Lord of life, the Prince of Peace, that God is going to deal decisively with rebellion. He will destroy rebels. Now, as I said, that's very sobering. That's something for us to pause and reflect on. That God may allow rebellions to appear to succeed for a time. But God is going to deal ultimately with all of it. Now, I don't want to end on that sober note by itself, as important as it is for us to reflect on that, because that's not where Jesus is. Look at verse